So we're doing time. Now, we're now finished the time part of it. And when we have the time part finished, there's a small bit there on strings, which I don't know why it's included, it's just a revision on strings. And then the only other part in this chapter is all about localization. All right. So localization is you either have a single file that'll take care of all your translation. So you have one application in English, one application in Polish, another application in Russian, another application in Croatian, another application in Lithuanian. Okay, so that's all the languages spoken in here. All right. Now, rather than you having 6 different applications, you just have one application and you have one file to take care of all of your translation. That's what localization is all about. Okay, but now what I've done here is I've created an instance, and an instant is GMT currently now. All right, so that is GMT time. Doesn't matter where it is. When you go instant and instant.now, that's going to get the current GMT time. So it's like universal time. All right, that's the best way to describe it. Now, so just to, I am again. So I just ran it here. So this is the instance before. This is the instance after. So how long does it take? It takes 694 million nanoseconds. Okay, which is 0.694 seconds. Prove that it does. If I go to millis, that's 703 thousandths of a second. All right. Yes. If I did it 2 seconds, it'll probably giving. Let me just say 2 seconds. That isn't 2 seconds. Right. Which is strange. So we're talking about 0.7 seconds it takes to create 170 billion ints. Okay, so a little experiment. Let's see. Yeah, nano's a billion. Okay, so a little experiment. Let's see how long does it take to create 1.2 billion integers using a stream. So I'll go stream dot. So I'll go now is equal to instant dot now, and then I go stream dot isn't oh yeah, because I haven't imported it. Sorry. Okay, how come? Just give me a second now. Sorry, hold on. No, so stream dot generate. Stream dot generate. Start off at 0, and we're gonna go to so started in. Sorry, what am I saying? Iterate is the one I want. Sorry, not generate. I'm talking to me ears. A minute. So start iterate. So we start off at 0. So it takes in the number and adds the number to it. So it's in plus 1 dot limit. Now it's going to be 1, 2, so billion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And dot which one will I do? Count. All right. So That'll create a stream of, or I'll save it to a collection. And collect dot, so it's collectors dot to list. All right, so that creates a stream of 1.2 billion numbers and it adds them to a collection. Now that should be considerably longer than this guy, okay? The reason it should be longer is because this is creating, these are integers, not ints, to start off with. So you have a small bit of override when you're creating objects. Then you also are creating a list and you're adding each one of these objects to the list. So this should take longer than 0.673 seconds. Now that's just a guess. So I'm going to go later is equal to instant dot now. So we're going to say, I'm going to say duration dot between now and later, and I'm going to say dot to middles. I'll put it all in one line this time. Okay, so it should be giving us more than 6.673 seconds. Let's see. It's still going. Okay, so it's considerably slower. Okay, it's an awful lot slower. All right, it's still going. If I stop this guy here, and if I take out the collection part, okay, and I've put in another, so another terminal operation would be count. All right, so I run this. And again, it's still going. All right, so that answers the question. Because it took 8 seconds. So quick answer, are streams quicker than loops? No, no way. All right, now that all being said now, by the way, it's doing an awful lot more. All this guy is doing, it's just creating 1.2 billion numbers. That's all it's doing. And you can't use them. This guy is different. This guy is creating 1.2 billion numbers that you can use. As soon as you're creating them here, they're gone. All right. Whereas here, you can save them to a list. You can do anything with them. So there's more processing going on in the background there. All right. There's feck all happening there in the background in loops. All that's happening is it's just creating a number. Here, it's creating an object. It's creating 1.2 billion objects of them, and it's counting them. All right. So yes, they are slower, but they're doing more. All right. So I still prefer these any day, all day long, to these guys. Okay. You can do more easier. Yes, they are slower, but yes, they are doing more. So it's debatable whether they're slow or not. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is just doing out 1.2 numbers, 1.2 billion numbers. This is creating 1.2 billion objects, and then it's counting. So it's doing more. This is just creating numbers. This is creating objects that are numbers, and it's counting them. All right. So just comment that out. Comment this in to see how long it takes to do 1.2 in a stream. Comment this in to see how long it takes a stream to create 1.2 billion integer wrapper objects and count them. Approx 9 seconds, we'll say. I'll just run it once more and see how long it takes. So it takes 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 1,000, 9, 1,000. So you're talking about approximately 9 seconds. So it seems to be going to 8 point something seconds. 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7. So is that the exact same number as before? 8714. Okay, it's very close to the number. So there's obviously something else going on there in the background. All right. And I guess some of those numbers are being saved in RAM. And I guess, and it's pulling them from RAM again. All right. Because it's producing nearly the same numbers each time. And the odds of producing the same amount of billions a second is astronomical. But anyway, all right. Now, so we're going to go down further. So you can get duration, you can get the milliseconds in a duration, you can get the seconds in a duration, you can get the hours in a duration. Okay. Now, when you're doing instants always refer to Greenwich Mean Time. Okay. So let's say we have a local date time. Okay. So I'm going to create a local date time here. And I'm going to call this again LDT1. And I go local date time dot off. So it's going to be today's date. It's going to be plus 27 days. And time is going to be local time dot now dot plus 70, sorry, plus minutes plus 72 minutes. Now, so if you want to change that to an instant, all I do is, so I'm going to create a new instant. In inst1 is equal to LDT. For start, we want to display LDT1 first. So LDT1, that's our date. Okay, so it's the 22nd of February at 3 minutes past 3. Okay. Now, so if I want to convert that to an instant, I go LDT1 dot to instant. Now, right. So there's something called an offset. Now, what's an offset? An offset is going to be what time zone you're current in. So if you want to convert to local date, you have to provide something called, it's technical term is a zone offset. It's a particular type. All right. So I have to create a zone offset type first. So up here, I'm going to create a zone offset. Okay, so I'll just call this Z. Okay. Offset. Okay. It's equal to zone offset dot of. So you can have of hours, hours and minutes, seconds. Now, I don't think there's actually a offset of minutes, so I'm just going to say hours. And I'm going to say 0. So if I say 0, I'm going to import this guy as well. Okay, so that means here, if I put in here the offset, that's going to create an instant in Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, so it'll be the same as that. Okay, now if I change that offset to 1, okay, hold on a minute now, there's something wrong there. Fuck yeah. I have to say +1. Yeah. All right. So now to read this is slightly complicated. Sorry. You can see why they didn't have them in Java 1. All right. So this time here is 15:05. Yeah? Yes? Okay. This time is 15:05. So what this is getting is, if this is the time in somewhere that's 1 hour ahead of Greenwich Mean Time, okay, that's going to be the instant. So Paris is 1 hour ahead of us, yes? Isn't it? Paris 1 hour ahead of us. Yeah, so Paris, 1 hour ahead of us. Okay, so this is a local date time for Paris. Okay, so if you want to convert that to instant, you have to get the zone offset, as it's called. And Paris is 1 hour ahead of Greenwich Mean Time. So you have to go zone offset of hours +1. And that, so if the time in Paris is 15:05, the instant time will be 14:05, which is what we have here. Okay, so if you're going to convert from a local time to a instant time, you're converting a local time to Greenwich Mean Time. Now, for someone living in this time zone, we don't have to do any conversion. Instant time and local time are the same thing. But if you're in Paris, that's an offset of +1. If you're in New York, it's an offset of, let's take all of this, -5. There. Yeah. Right. No, they're behind us. So isn't that +5? Yeah. So they're behind us. So you have to go plus. Paris is in front of us. So you have to go minus. Yeah. Okay.
Could you use the zone ID?
Sorry?
Could you use the zone ID?
That's the next thing we're going to do. Okay. So zone offset, that's determined. So what is this one? So -1. So this is the offset for Paris. this one here. So this is the offset for Paris. Paris is 1 hour ahead of GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, so you have to do -1. All right, so what it's saying here is this is the local time in, if that's the local time in Paris.
That's off this machine, so it's powered over.
Well, no, but I've done one. It is actually I'll print it out again. So make sure I'm printing out the right one. So I'll just put above it here a local date. Now it's not. It's today's date plus 27 days plus 72 minutes on the current time.
On our machine.
Yeah.
Not in Paris, though.
No. Right. So that's the date we have. Okay. Now, so that's a particular date. What we then said was, let's assume that this date was, that this local date time was in Paris. Okay. So we are assuming the above date was on a machine in Paris, right? So yes, Kieran, we are saying this is Paris, okay? So this is just a date, okay? And we're saying that this date is in Paris. So what do? We need to do something called a zone offset. So if it's -1, that means it's 1 hour in front of us, okay? If it's -2, it means it's 2 hours in front of us. Okay, so LDT1, so that is the time 1510. That's the time in Paris. That's the instant time 1610. Okay, so all you're doing is basically you're converting to GMT time. That's what an instant is. Okay, instant is GMT time. Now, doesn't make an awful lot of difference to us. It makes difference to people on Japan, Los Angeles, Australia, South Africa. Actually, not South Africa. They're the same time zone as us. Okay. So now we can use this, or we can use the zones, which is what I've done down here. Okay. So I create a, so I'll just comment out. So this will be GMT, okay, which is instant time. Okay, so I create a local date, and it's a particular year, a particular month, a particular date. Then I pick a local time. It's at a particular time, and so that's the time. That's the hours and minutes. So that's going to be 2:25 in the day on the 2nd of July in the year 2022. Okay, and this is the time zone of Asia, Shanghai. Okay, now so I create a zoned date time. Now, a zoned date time, that's going to be a combination of the date and the time. Okay, so if I print that guy out, it's going to be called zoned date time. Okay, I don't want that lead in there yet. I don't want that leather yet. Now, so what that prints off is the 2nd of July 2022 at 14:25. Yeah, and see what it has here. That's our offset. When you're using a zoned date time, it always displays the offset. Okay. Okay. So that is plus 8 hours. All right. Now it says plus 8 hours. If you were going to use if you were going to use Z offset, you'd actually have to say -8, which is really confusing. But now, if I try to directly convert it to an instant, watch what happens. Okay. So this is converting it to an instant. I call it instant 2 is equal to zoned date time to instant. Now, it converts it to an instant. All right. What it does is it goes back 8 hours. So it's -8 hours. 8 from 14 is 6. So that gives us 6:25. So this way, so that's what zone date time is really for. Instead of using this shit, you use these lads. Okay, so what is this doing? This is creating a zoned date time that will give us that guy. Okay, which is the 27th, so which is the 7th of July 2022, and it is 2:25 in the afternoon in Shanghai. Okay, that's what that is. Now, the +8 means it's 8 hours ahead of GMT. Okay, that's what the +8 means. Now, if you come along here and I create a zone, if I create an instant, and the method is toInstant, this creates the GMT for this particular time. So this creates the GMT for this particular time in Shanghai. Okay, because that's what instant is, it's GMT time. So if you go instant 2, zone date time to instant, that converts it back to GMT. So it'll go back 6 hours. Which will be, or sorry, goes back 8 hours, which is this guy. This will be now this, which is 22nd July 2022, and it is 6:25 in the morning in London. Okay, there's GMT, it's Greenwich. Apparently there's a lovely building there. There's actually a line, you can actually see the line in it. There's actually a physical line in it. Huh? Did you see it? Yeah. What is it? It's kind of an old... Is it? All right. Did he chop off anybody's wife's heads there? That's it. A lovely chap. Anyway. So 22nd of July. So they're both the same times. They're in different time zones. Okay, so that's the thing about local dates. Local dates aren't the same the world over. All right, whereas an instant is going to be the same no matter where you are. So an instant, they do have usages. You can just imagine that you want to keep an exact time of something. Rather than having to convert to Sydney time or whatever, you just have instant. You check the instant time on your machine, you check the instant time on another machine. How long does it take my email to go from one location to another? You get the instant time when you receive it, when you send it. You get the instant times when you receive it on the other side. Then you'll get the exact period. You don't have to do any conversion. That's what instants are for. All right. Now, so I'm going to go. Yeah, that's it really. There's nothing more to instance. That's instance. Okay. So what do I need to do? I just did another one here. Okay. So this one, it's going to be made up of zone. All right. So zone date time is going to be local date now. Now just to refresh what zone is, that's what zone is. Okay. So zone is equal to zone ID of Asia Shanghai. So a zoned date time is made up of a date, a time. Now you could do a whole local date, put in all the variables for date. You could put in all the variables for time. But I just did local date dot now, local time dot now. Or I could have done local date time dot now and zone. Do you understand that? Yes? I could also do this. You can local date time dot now or local date and local time, right? There's several different variations. So that's going to get, that's the current time in Shanghai, right? So if I print off this guy, so this will be current time in Shanghai. Okay. Now, yeah, just give me a second now here. 10:37. Right. Oh boy, try to explain this. So the current time here is, what is the current time? It is 14:11. Okay. So this isn't Java as such. This is just trying to use logic to see what's happening. Okay. So we're creating a local date time in Shanghai. Okay. Now it's taking the time and the date on this machine. Time of this machine is, we'll just say 14:11. Okay. We only care about the time. And the zone is Shanghai. Okay. Now, when you're passing in, so just to show you what local date time is before we print it off, just to make sure it's right. Okay, now, all that this does is that creates a time in Shanghai. Yeah, okay. So, bear with, I just need to get my own thoughts correct now before I say it. All right, so this is our current time. Yeah, 14:12. Right. Now, so when I print it off, it just prints off 14:12. Yes? Because all I'm doing there is I'm taking a time and it's going to be in the Shanghai time zone. So it's going to be 14:12 in the Shanghai time zone. Yes? Right. Now, so the time in Shanghai, if the time in Shanghai is 14:12, and if you convert that to instant time, it's going to be 8 hours previous, which is going to be 6:12. Okay? Now, I hate to say this, but that looks like an exam question to me. Okay? It's not necessarily Java. It's more about being able to test your logic. That is a real logic test. All right, I'll say this one again. So this is, so what is this guy here? This is merely the current time, i.e. 14:15, applied to Shanghai time zone. So this will print out you do understand that the data was run, which is 2:12 in the afternoon. Now, if you want to know what the instant time was at that time, okay, so the GMT time when it was 2:12 in Shanghai was 8 hours before, which will be 6:12. Okay, so what to instant does is it always converts it to GMT time. Okay, so if you have a zone date time in Sydney, okay, you go, then you just call to instant, it'll convert it into GMT time. How does it know? Because here, for instance, it minuses the 8 from it. Is that okay? So that's what instant is GMT time. If you have a zoned date time, you just go zoned date time to instant if you want to convert it to GMT time. Any questions on that? No. So this guy here, local date time dot now zone is Shanghai. Whatever zone that is, it's going, let's say it's Australia, which is 12 hours ahead of us. If I go zone date time to instant, it's going to go 12 hours before that time. Yes?
Yeah, just 9431 there, that the time printed off there, it's the same time in Shanghai as here.
Yeah.
So
Well, no,
it
because
doesn't have 8 hours, it doesn't have 8
no,
hours.
no, because what I've done here is it just takes whatever today's time is, what the current time is, and say that's going to be a time in Shanghai. So it just applies the current time to Shanghai. Okay, this is made the current time, i.e. 14 to 15 apply to Shanghai. So this will print off 2020, 0130, 1412, 34 plus, which is 212 in the afternoon. Okay, if I do it now, it's going to be 1417. That can be any time you want it to be. Okay, an instant is all about getting a particular point in time that's universal. So rather than you having to convert to different time zones and any of that bullshit, if you just have an instant, you know when that is. Okay, so if someone sends you a time, you don't have to convert it. All you have to, and you just ask them, send me on a zoned date time. They send you on a zoned date time consisting of the time and the time zone they're in. Then you can calculate the instant. So the instant is used for precise timings. Okay. Now, that's all there is to do with dates and times in Java 2. Don't ask any questions on formatting. Thanks be to Jesus. All right. If you want to know how to formatting, look them up. Now, there is a section on daylight saving times. Problem with that is it uses American daylight saving times. And I'm thinking they can't really go asking you American daylight saving times, can they? So what I'm going to do is when we start doing the questions, if there is questions about daylight saving times, I'll do it. But I can't see how they can ask you stuff about daylight saving times because that's not universal. They can't ask you stuff in an exam that only applies to America. They can't ask you stuff in an exam that only applies to Europe. All right. So I'm presuming that was just an oversight on their part. Okay. So I didn't do the part about daylight saving times. It's not terribly difficult, but it's kind of awkward to seem to remember. All right. Now that's that section finished. Now, for some reason or other, I don't know why, there is a section on strings, but there's nothing unit. So this is going to take all of 20 minutes, I said, to do. This one is 5.2, reviewing the string class. I don't know why it's in it because there's absolutely nothing in it. So this is a new project. So I will stop that video.